Question 3 and 4 are how questions. Remember, you'll get 2 in your exam. We'll just look at 1 today. Teacher tip for the how question. Look at the verbs and the adjectives used. Obviously, you know adjectives and verbs, okay? So what I mean by that is, if the question was something like how does the writer portray the boyfriend? If it was just I was standing next to my boyfriend, that is not going to tell me anything. However, if it said I'm standing next to my jealous boyfriend, that adjective tells me a lot about the boyfriend. Okay? So for the how questions, that's 2 in the exam. They will be on questions 2, 3, and 4, and they can be worth 5 or 10 marks. Again, reasons why people didn't do very well on this question in November, or if you got a grade 3, was that you're spending too long on the 5-mark questions. We need more quotes, and across the whole extract. Directly from the examiner's mouth, plenty of quotes gives a student high marks. It's as simple as that. This is literally a quote from the head examiner at the exam board. Lots of quotes will give a student high marks. Again, it's all about quotes. Person on the right, lots of quotes. Person on the left, not a quote. The person on the right got more quotes, even though it was a 5-mark question. They still got more quotes than the person doing the 10-mark question. Again, make sure your quotes are from across the extract. You'd get marked down if you had a question like this and you only did quotes from the red bits. You've got to make sure you do quotes from across the extract to basically show that you've read the extract, but also there might be a change in character from the start of the extract to the end of the extract. The how question can be summed up by asking, why has the writer bothered to use certain words, verbs, and adjectives? Why have they used these intentionally or on purpose? So let's say, for example, we had an example of how does the writer present Marianne in this part of the extract? Okay, again, remember to look at the verbs, adjectives. Let's say my quote 1 for this question could be Marianne whispered to Connell. And my quote 2 could be Marianne ranted at Connell. So you'll see in a minute, just from changing that verb in the yellow, it completely changes how Marianne is represented in the extract. So whispered, when we think of whispered, we think of the connotations of gentle, soft, quiet, secret, private. Okay, so my answer could be, the word whispered suggests Marianne is being secretive and is saying something private to Connell. Basically, the connotations from this part of the video here. So we've got the link to the question here. We've got the quote here, and then I've got my explanation of why that quote, what that shows me about Marianne. So she's whispering, maybe she's being quiet for a reason. She's being secretive. Yeah. Ranted. Okay, we've changed the verb to ranted. What do we think of ranted? So just from changing that verb, a massive change. So if you change it to ranted, what do we think about when people rant? Well, shouting, angry, loud, snarling. The word ranted suggests Marianne is angry and is shouting at Connell. So just from changing that middle verb, so just from changing that yellow, my green completely changes. So in other words, just from changing my quote, the way Marianne is presented in this part of the extract completely changes. Okay, we won't bother doing that one. So the question in your mock is, Connell and Marianne having a connection and an attraction to one another. How does the writer show this? It's out of 10 marks, so you're looking for 7 to 10 quotes, 15 or so minutes, not including reading.
I've missed you.
Yeah, you too. I was a bit worried when you left school and that. I was pretty down about it.
Well, never hung out much during school hours.
Oh, yeah.
What about Rachel? You still together?
How did you hear about that? Through your brother?
Saw photos on Facebook.
We broke up actually.
Oh. Sorry.
I don't think we were that compatible really. What?
No, I reckon I could have told you that.
Well, maybe I should have, would have helped actually. You weren't really replying to my texts at the time, so...
Felt somewhat abandoned, Connell.
Yeah, I felt a bit abandoned myself, didn't I? You disappeared. The Rachel thing wasn't serious or anything.
It's not really why I left school.
Right.
More of a last straw sort of thing.
Yeah. I wondered if that was what it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you're telepathic.
You know, I did used to think that I could read your mind at times. I don't know, maybe that's normal.
It's not.
You look really well.
I know. It's classic me. Came to college and got pretty.
No, you're always pretty. Very pretty. You know, you're beautiful.
No? Well, haven't heard that one in a while.
Does Garrett not tell you you're beautiful, no? Oh, he's probably very busy doing amateur drama or something.
Debating, and you're being cruel.
Yeah, I clocked that. See, I thought I was bad going out Rachel Moore, and your boyfriend's a Holocaust denier.
He's just into free speech. Okay, so we both failed on ideological purity.
Yeah.
Are you dating anyone problematic at the moment?
No? Not even anyone good?
Finding it hard to meet people here.
It's a bit different from home, I suppose.
Probably why I'm good at it. I have some girlfriends I could introduce you to.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I have those now.
Nah, I'm not sure I'd be their type.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
What's not to like about you?
That's a good question. I don't know.
So let's read it first. So what's happened is, I'll try, like I said, hopefully I'll be able to show you the clip. If I haven't, what's happened is they haven't seen each other. They've ended their relationship at school on bad terms, where again, Connell was sort of embarrassed to be seen with Marianne. So they parted, and Marianne didn't come to school after their relationships stopped. They're now at a party where they haven't seen each other for months. I've missed you, she says. This directness coming so soon and so unexpectedly makes him blush. Yeah, you too, he says. I was kind of worried when you left school and all that. Well, we never hung out much during school hours. No, yeah, obviously. And what about you and Rachel, says Marianne. Are you still together? No, we broke up there during the summer. In a voice just false enough to sound sincere, Marianne says, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, he says to Marianne, I wasn't that compatible with Rachel, I don't think. Marianne smiles now. I probably could have told you that. Marianne sighs. That wasn't really why I left school, she says. It was more of a last straw thing. Yeah, he says, I wondered if that was what it was. She smiles like she's flirting. Really, she says. Maybe you're telepathic. I did used to think I could read your mind at times, Connell says. But maybe that's normal. It's not. They both smile. Connell looks at Marianne. She smooths down her dress. You look really well, he says. I know. It's classic me. I came to college and got pretty. He starts laughing. He doesn't even want to laugh, but something about the weird dynamic between them is making him do it. You were always very pretty, he says. I should know. You're very pretty. You're beautiful. She's not laughing now. Her little teeth flash again, and she lifts her hand to cover her mouth. He has some drink and takes in a sweet expression which he has missed. Are you seeing anyone at the moment? No, he says. Marianne gives a curious smile. Finding it hard to meet people, she says. He shrugs and then nods his head. Bit different from home, isn't it? He says. I have some girlfriends I could introduce you to. I have those now, she says. I'm not sure I'd be their type. They look at one another. Her gaze unsettles him like it used to, like looking into a mirror, seeing something that has no secrets from you. What does that mean, she says. I don't know. What's not to like about you? I don't know, he says. Good question. I don't know. He smiles and looks into his glass. He's attracted to it, he can admit that. After these months away from home, life seems much larger, and his personal dramas less significant. He's not the same anxious, repressed person he was in school, when his attraction to her felt terrifying, like an oncoming train, and he threw her under it. He knows she wants to show him that she's not bitter. He could say, I'm really sorry for what I did to you, Marianne. He always thought if he did see her again, that's what he would say. So, so go through the extract again then. Pause the video. highlight or look for 5 or 10 quotes that show Connell and Marianne have a connection and attraction to one another. And the sort of structure you should be looking for a little bit is, after you find your quotes, is the writer shows a connection with the quote, give me the quote, and then explain to me how that shows a connection or they have attraction between one another. Remember, connection is linked back to the question. Green is my quote, blue is my explanation. Here are the quotes that I've done. I've highlighted and we'll go through them. So I think I'll just explain them in my little PEs. Okay, so my first one that I've picked out is that shows a connection in between from each other is when Marianne says, maybe you're telepathic. And Connell says, I did used to think I could read your mind at times.
Yeah.
Maybe you're telepathic.
You know, I did used to think that I could read your mind at times.
So if you zoomed into the word telepathic, what would it mean? Well, it would probably mean that you can read minds. Okay, so I put, we feel a connection when Connell was described as telepathic, and Connell says, I could read your mind at times. This shows they both think they can communicate and know what each other are thinking without having to use words. So again, I'm zooming into the word telepathic. What are the connotations, or even being a human dictionary, what does telepathic mean? If I looked it up in the dictionary, I'd probably be able to say something like reading minds. So there's a connection between each other as they both think they can read each other's mind. But basically then, I did used to think I could read your mind at times. Connell then says, maybe that's normal. And Marianne replies, it's not normal.
Yeah.
Maybe you're telepathic.
You know, I did used to think that I could read your mind at times. I don't know, maybe that's normal.
It's not.
So I put, Connell wonders if this is normal, but Marianne replies it's not. Marianne is showing there's a special, unique bond between them. Okay, remember, always trying to pick up the easy quotes as well. So one quote says, she smiles like she's flirting. So I put, we feel an attraction Marianne when she's described as flirting with Connell. So really simple, if you're flirting with someone, there is some attraction. So I put, instantly, we see an attraction and connection between the characters. Marianne unexpectedly tells Connell she missed him, and Connell replies, yeah, me too. So
I've missed you.
Yeah. Yeah, you too.
again, if there's a connection between the two and within one line of the whole extract, they miss each other, that's a really easy one to put in. Okay, and here's some few more. But we see a connection when Marianne is described as using a voice just false enough to sound sincere. This tells the reader Marianne has to make an effort to sound genuine regarding feeling sorry for Connell splitting from his girlfriend. But we see Connell's physical attraction to Marianne as he says she was always pretty, you're beautiful, and he's attracted to her. So I've got 3 separate quotes there from 3 separate parts of the extract. They're all about Connell being physically attracted to Marianne, so shove them all in together. Marianne asks Connell what's not liked about you. This shows Marianne thinks he's an admirable person who anyone would like. And last one I've put, Connell shows he's attracted to Marianne as it's clear he's been thinking about her. The quote is, he always thought if he did see her again, that's what he would say. So he's almost been rehearsing the moment to see Marianne again and what would happen. And there they all are together. So feel free to pause the video. Again, every single one of them. I'm linking to the question in the yellow. My blue is my quote, and my green is explaining why that quote means there's an attraction between Marianne and Connell.